pushing and pushing, and you're kind of like pushing them out of their comfort zone and they don't want to go there. So I've experienced being a great annoyance to my classmates, and I constantly guilt trip my classmates because my classmates are really terrible and they don't go for class. So as I said earlier, I had those commitments to myself about giving my 100% in my studies. And I was always a thorn in their side when they didn't want to go for class. And at times I would question myself, why am I making such an effort? And why am I being such a burden? I mean, I can just go and I don't have to be visible and try and pull them along with me. I can just go and leave them there. But I realized that my intentions have always been to make sure that the people around me weren't shortchanging themselves. And I know they're not stupid, and if they put in effort, they can really do well. So I wanted them to put in as much effort as they were capable of because I believed they could do better. And that kind of ties in with having the faith that your members will follow. Yeah. So I still remember this one incident that I feel was a very successful attempt at being a positive influence. So it was the day of a GP package test, and our package test was in the later part of the day. So one of my classmates asked a friend from another class to take a picture of the test paper, and then he was just scrolling through and trying to see where the answers came from so he could highlight it on his own GP package. And I was like, what are you doing, kind of thing. I really disapprove of this kind of thing. Because I feel that GP package tests, if you read the package, it's not difficult. So all you have to do is just read the stack of articles, that's all. And you can do it. Yeah. So the whole time he was just sitting in the void deck and highlighting his articles, and I really couldn't take it. So I just stood opposite him. Imagine he's sitting in the middle of the bench. I just stood opposite him and I just stared at him. Really disapproving, stop it, but I didn't say anything. Yeah, so I was just standing there staring. And then after about a minute or so, he looked up and he closed his highlighter and he was like, I cannot do this anymore, I can feel you condemning me. Yeah, and he didn't cheat for that package test. And for all the subsequent tests, he didn't cheat. And he actually told me that oh, I studied for it and I could do it and it feels quite good. So and even now, all the way up to A's, he's one of the most hardworking people I know in my class. I'm not saying that me standing there condemning him totally transformed him as a human being, but I'm saying that doing something seemingly uncool and unpopular can make a difference. And it's really where your intentions lie. And my intention was to get him to take his studies seriously. Yeah. Okay. So now that you've established who you are, which is a student leader, and how you can be a role model, there's another more important part of being a leader. Yeah. So there's no point having tenacity and discipline and all that if it doesn't eventually lead to a goal of some sort. For example, why do the netballers train so hard? Because we have a goal that we want to be first. Why do the counselors stay up until 2, 3 a.m. to do proposals and to send them to teachers? Because we want to organize events that the school can be proud of and that are meaningful for the student body. So you always have to have a goal or a direction for your team or your club so that all of you can work towards it and make your effort worthwhile. And it's a lot easier to run a race when you know where the finish line is than to run blindly. Yeah. So you have to have a vision. It's always good practice to sit down at the start of the year with your CCA mates, whether it's you and your vice cap or your exco or the whole CCA, to talk about where you see yourselves in the year to come. And so in both my CCAs, I did goal setting at least once as a whole team and as a whole council. And I felt that it's easier to build consensus like that. It gives them more ownership rather than you coming up with some goals and then you try and convince all of them that, okay, this is what we need to do. So maybe y'all can do that. Yeah. So I'll share a bit about both my CCAs, how I did it for netball and how I did it for council. So for netball, we had some time in March where we sat down and we came up with specific goals for the season, like what we want to do. For example, like the defenders, oh, we want to intercept like this number of passes in 1 quarter, that kind of thing. Very specific. Yeah. And from the outset, it wasn't difficult to set our goals for netball, because as a team goal, we can't really aim for anything else except champions, because that's the legacy that has been passed down to us. But it's quite interesting how we did the whole goal setting process, because it was literally like this, like all of us just like sat down around the mahjong paper, and then the captains were like, okay, like what do you want our team goal to be? And then everyone just like sat there for a while, and then one girl was like, champs kind of thing. So there's a very fine line between a goal being obvious and you taking it like flippantly and not seriously. And I think we kind of went in that direction for a while for last year's season. Yeah, we tended to treat it lightly, and every time we'll come to training, we'll just say, okay, we just need to get through training, and then we'll be one training closer to season, and we'll be one training closer to the games. And that's quite dangerous. So we learned this lesson the hard way, and we only started to snap out of it after season already started. And multiple times we were scolded by our coach and our seniors, and they were like, how can you talk about being champions when you are struggling to play well against a team that is not seeded? So I guess my point here is that if you have a big goal for your CCA, if you want a national top 4 placing, that kind of thing, break it down into smaller steps. Break it down into what you need to do to prepare to get there. Because having such a big vision, while it's good, while it's inspiring, it doesn't really tell you a lot about how you can get there. Yeah. And this very famous basketball coach, his name is Bob Knight, he said everyone has the will to win. I think if you ask every team in Singapore, almost always they will say, we want to get top 4 or we want to get champs. Everybody has that desire to win. But he said few people have the will to prepare to win. Nobody wants to sit down and think about, oh, okay, this training I wanna improve like my elevation. This training I wanna improve my run. Nobody has the patience and like the stamina to do that, like training in, training out. But that's what you need to do if you want to achieve. So if you have really big goals, my advice is to scale them down and really give yourself steps to get there. And then, you know, after you win your semi-final, then you think about being champions, that kind of thing. Okay. For council, I'll talk a bit about what a guiding principle we had and how that influenced events through the year. So a guiding principle that we had for our council was that we exist for the students. And in every activity that we plan, in every event that we plan, the focus has to be the students. It cannot be on the people who are running the show, because that doesn't make any sense. As in, like, if you want to run a program, it should be for the people who benefit from it. Yeah. So an example of applying this principle in an event that we did was during orientation, the orientation that you guys went through. Yeah. So on day 1 of orientation, I hope y'all remember, there was a mass rally. And I didn't feel that the day 1 mass rally went very well. Yeah, in fact, I was quite disappointed with it, and I was trying to figure out why it was like that. Like it was below my expectations with regard to the OGLs and with regard to how the whole thing went. Then I realized that the OGLs, the whole time, like for day 1 orientation, they were working to have fun themselves. Like they thought being an OGL was fun. So they decided that, okay, during mass rallies, I'm gonna have fun, and like hopefully the J1s, you know, have fun as well, but I'm gonna like cheer with my clan, and I'm gonna run after Esther Cheah with the mic and bowl her to my clan, that kind of thing. And it deviated from the whole principle of orientation being for the J1s. The OGLs, I felt, were thinking more about themselves rather than giving you guys a good experience. So after day 1 of orientation, we actually made some changes, I don't know if you all realized, to how we ran the mass rallies. And I made the OGL stand a lot closer to you all at the bleachers. I made them put their water bottles next to yours, and I banned them from running after me, like for too long. Yeah, and in my opinion, the subsequent mass rallies were a lot better. And it's really small things like that that enable you to achieve your goal. And it's only because it comes from the principle, the very first principle, that whatever event you plan must be centered on whoever it's for. Yeah. So these are two approaches you can take. One is more goal-oriented, and one is more direction-oriented. Like for council, there's no council championship, so you can't really win something like that. But it's a direction that you want the CCA to move in. Yeah. So yeah, in everything, always stick to your vision and have faith in your members to achieve that vision with you. Okay, ending soon. Stay with me. Okay, I know it's quite long. Across the two things we've talked about, the first one is modeling the way, and the second one is having a vision for your members. The one thing in common is having faith in your members. I don't know if you realize, but just now, modeling the way also entails some faith in your members. And it's so important to always have the attitude and the mindset that you are leading your team or your club onto greater things. And an extension of that is having the faith that they will be able to achieve it. Yeah. And if you think about it, a leader is nothing without the people he or she leads, because then you won't be leading anyone. You'll be by yourself and not much of a leader. Yeah. So when you lead, you are leading for the purpose of allowing your members to reach their goals. The focus is not on whether you can speak well, whether you can give, speeches and people cry, that kind of thing, or or anything like that. The focus is on giving each member the means to hit their maximum potential. So maybe some of your members need verbal encouragement, or they need someone to model the way because they've never done it before, or maybe they need someone to discipline them. And that's your role. That's where you come in, and you exist to help them overcome themselves to achieve their best. So the success of a team is not measured by the leader's achievements. The success of leadership is not measured by the leader's achievements, it's measured by the team's achievements. Yeah. So just remember, one slide behind. Yeah, a leader is nothing without his or her followers. And okay, next slide. No. Next slide. Yes. Okay. And just remember, there's no I in leader. There's only an I in the a-hole. Please remember that. So you always have to put your team or your club first. There's no I in leader. So it's not about you. Okay? And the Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu said, exit, I think. Okay. Yeah. And Lao Tzu once said, a leader is best when his work is done, his aim fulfilled. You can see it, right? Yeah, okay. A leader is best when his work is done, his aim fulfilled. People will say, we did it ourselves. So, really, when you are a role model, it's not about putting yourself on a pedestal and saying that, I'm the best or anything like that. It's about you helping your team achieve. Yeah. Okay, so in closing, last paragraph. Leadership is about empowering others. And when you set a vision, when you model the way for your members, you are giving them ways to push themselves further. And a great leader produces more leaders, not more followers. A great leader produces more leaders, not more followers. And right now, you have the ability to make that happen for your members, especially when the J1s come in. Because if you think about it, you will be captaining the next captain, that kind of thing. Or you'll be the president of the next president. So, yeah. So be a worthy leader and be a great role model, because that's the only way AC is going to move forward and continue to build on the legacy. So I hope you realize how important you are as leaders to the school. Okay, thank you.